Alright guys, welcome back for part 3 of the JUUL modeling series, where we're going to handle the materials, the rendering, and also some light compositing inside of Blender. If you haven't already been here with us for part 1 and 2 and this looks a little strange to you, make sure you check out those videos so you can get to where we're at for this video. Alright guys, let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do is go Shift A. I'm going to bring in a mesh. We're going to go plane. I'm going to scale that up 15, so I want S15. Tab into edit mode, grab that back edge. We're going to hit E to extrude and then bring that up like so. From there, I'm going to cut it once down the middle. I'm going to hit A to select everything, and I'm going to subdivide that one time. Then I'm going to hit Control 3 to bring in a subdivision modifier. I'm going to hit W, shade smooth, Q, auto smooth, and also just to put some icing on the cake, I weighted normal, although I don't think we really need it. I'm just going to check to make sure that everything's sitting flush, and it looks like it is. Yeah, pretty much sitting perfectly, so we don't really have to move it from there. And I'm going to rename this to backdrop. All right. Next, we're going to make sure that we are in eevee. I'm going to take my render to 512 and my viewport to 128. That should be fine. I'm just going to go ahead and tick off ambient occlusion, bloom, screen space reflections, half res trace. I'm going to get rid of that. Go trace precision to 1. Shadows 1024. ESM, high bit depth. And color management, filmic, look, medium contrast. And now if we go into rendered mode, we should see something like this. And I'm just also going to take my world settings, strength, and I'm going to make that 0. And next I will split my window in half. And we're going to go Shift A, bring in a camera. I'm just going to move this up and move it back. I'm going to hit N, go to item. So we can see the transforms of our camera. On the X rotation, we're going to go 90, and then Y is 0, and then X is also going to be 0. So typically, you would hit Control numpad 0 to go into your camera to make it an active camera, but I'm just going to use F3 and search set active object as camera, and that should do the same thing for me. So now if I hit this button, I could toggle in and out of camera mode. So I'm going to be in camera mode on my bottom viewport, and on my top viewport, I'm just going to move this down, move this back. I'm also going to go to my output context menu here, and I'm just going to change the Y to 1920 as well, so we get something square. I'm going to bring this in actually a little bit. I'm going to go to my camera context tab here, and I'm going to shift it in the Y until I see the mesh fully. So we should get something like that. If we're in rendered mode, we're still not going to see anything. I'm going to call this camera main from camera. And I'm also going to lock its location and its rotation so I don't mess with it. All right, next thing we're going to do, Shift A, we're going to bring in a light, an area light. I'm going to bring that up above our mesh here. I'm going to go S7. So I've scaled that up 7 times. And I'm going to increase the power to, let's go with 450 for now. I'm going to put that behind our mesh, so we pretty much are just getting the silhouette with just a little bit of lighting peeking in the back like a rim light. All right, let's bring this up a little bit more like that. Cool. All right, next thing we're going to do, grab this light, rename it to top area light. I'm going to go Shift D to duplicate it, Alt G to put that to the origin of our scene. I'm going to lift this up to about the middle height of our mesh. I'm going to go GX, move that to the side, RY 90. And I'm just going to bring that up again, just a little bit like that. It's almost like the line is going through our power light here. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring it forward a little bit. like so. I'm going to hit period. Then I'm going to change my pivot to my 3D cursor. And I'm going to go Shift D, Control M, X, and that's going to mirror that over our pivot point like that. And I'm going to make sure to change back to my medium point by going period, medium point. So now we should have something that looks like this. All right, next thing I'm going to do, because I like the positioning of how this looks, I'm going to grab this one, rename it right area light. Grab this one, call it my left area light. I'm going to grab both of them, grab our top light, and I'm going to go Control P, Object, Keep Transform, and this top area light now controls our two lights. So they're moving together. So I'm just going to move them back a little bit like that. All right. So if you guys want to see the exact location of this, we got these values here. We have these values here, and we have these values here. All right. Next thing we're going to tackle is our power display button here. So I'm going to go to our material context menu, go new, and I'm going to call this power display mat. In my top viewport, I'm going to go Shift 3. I'm going to delete my principled BSDF. I'm going to go Shift A, bring in a emission node, and I'm going to go Alt, right click, and connect that up to material output. If yours does not work like that, make sure you have Node Wrangler enabled, and also make sure that the hotkey for it is the same as mine, or if it's different, make sure you use that. All right, next thing I'm going to do, let's bump this value up to about 4, and let's change the color to something green. Let's go with that. There. So the exact hex code value for that is 32FF4E. Let's make that 4.5. So now we should have something that looks like this. All right. Next thing we're going to do is tackle the main mesh material. So I'm going to go new, call this JUUL body mat. We're going to keep the principled BSDF. I'm going to go Shift A, bring in a Voronoi texture. Oh, OBS tripping. I'm going to go Voronoi texture. Hit Control T on it to bring in mapping and texture coordinate. And we're going to bring in a color ramp. Move that in. Connect our Voronoi texture to the FAC and our color ramp to base color. So we're going to get something that looks like this. Next thing we're going to do is go object to vector, and that's going to fix up the skewing we get when this is brought in at generated. Alternatively, we could play with the z-scale on our mapping, but that's unnecessary. Just go object to vector and we should be good to go. Next, we're going to crunch the left side a little bit here. And we're just gonna move this value up to be a little bit more gray. A little bit darker than that. That should be fine. That's 767676. The next thing we're gonna do is just bump up the scale. Let's try with 500. And we should get something looking speckled like this. So from a distance, it's not looking bad at all. Could even try to go with 600 or 550. And that is looking pretty fine. And from here, we're going to go Control Shift D to duplicate this node while keeping its connections. And I'm going to take this from gray to be more black, but not completely black. I'm going to go like 10, 10, 10. I'm going to connect that to my specular. And I'm going to go connect this to my roughness. So now what this is doing is it's either catching the light more or less on the black and white dots, so it's breaking up our reflections. And I'm just going to bring an invert node in here because it looks like it's more reflective and speculative than I want it to be. And let's invert that as well. So now it's a lot more muted and it's looking more matte. If I don't have this being inverted, we can see that we're getting the exact opposite. It looks like it's made of like marble or something, a very reflective marble. We don't want that, so just go ahead and bring in those two inverts and we should be good. We'll Control-Shift-D, we're going to duplicate this one more time, and we're going to bring in a mix RGB. Let me just control space in here fully. We're going to make color 2 completely black, and we're going to mix this color ramp into color 1. Then we're going to go bump, bring in a bump, and go color to height, and then to normal. And at first you're going to be wondering, why do we have this other mix? And what this essentially does is it allows us to vary the level of detail of this bump without jeopardizing the strength of it. With something that's completely black and white like this and other bump maps, it works quite well. It pretty much just darkens your white values. So let's see, let's tab in. We can see that it's definitely working. And if I play with this, it's kind of hard to see, but it's essentially like we're playing with the strength without actually jeopardizing any of our strength value here. So if I keep this at like 0.9, which I also think might be a little bit too high. Let's go like 0.995. And then we can also play with the strength value of this as well. So maybe like 0.5. So we have something with some good texture. Now I might just play with the Voronoi again. I feel like 500 might be a little high. Let's go to something like 350. Let's see how that's looking. Let's go to our camera. That's too low. Let's go back up to 450. $500. Let's stick with 500. All right, now with our backdrop, we're gonna pick the JUUL body mat for this as well. But we are going to hit this 2 button to create a duplicate of it and call this the backdrop mat. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna crunch this value to increase more darkness or allow for more darkness. I'm going to bump up the scale as well to like 2000. So we have a background that has a little bit of noise to it. It's not completely flat. And now we're going to work on our back view. So I'm going to go Shift-D to duplicate this camera. I'm going to rename this the rear camera. I'm going to make sure I unlock all these coordinates that I had previously locked. I'm going to move that behind the JUUL, and I'm going to go RZ 180. Let's move that back a little bit more. GZ. I'm going to go set active object as camera, and move that down a little bit. So I should have something that looks like this. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another material on our backdrop. I'm going to call this new black glossy. And I'm going to change the base color to something almost black. 12, 12, 12. and I'm going to decrease the roughness, to about 0.15. I'm going to tab into the backdrop, hit A, and then assign this new material. So if I go into my camera, I should get this subtle reflection. We can play with that roughness a little bit more to see a little bit more. We'll just keep that at like 0.1. Grab our rear camera. I'm just gonna move that back a little bit. Move that in a little bit. And now I'm gonna grab that text that we have in the back, the serial text. I'm gonna go new, call this serial text matte. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna bring in our JUUL body mat. I'm gonna hit 2 to create a copy, and then I'm gonna call this one the serial text mat. I believe, yeah, there we go. Now it works. And the other one has been changed to the new one I had accidentally created. There we go. All right. I'm gonna take this top color ramp that's connected to our base color, and I'm gonna get rid of that completely. So now we should have something that looks white like this. I'm gonna increase the value of that. And to hack it just a little bit, I'm gonna increase the emission on it just to make it a little bit wider, whiter. I don't recommend this be done all the time, but it's a quick little dirty way to make your materials a little bit brighter without having to adjust the lights. All right, next thing we're gonna do is play with the Voronoi scale size until we get something that is close to what we have for our base mesh. I went too far. Almost like something like that. So now it looks like it's actually just been overlaid onto our object. Let's increase the size a little bit more. So if you were to actually UV this out and create your materials in that form of way, and you have more than one UV map, you could just overlay this and it would look something like that. It would take the bump factor that we've already set up, but here we're just kind of hacking it to make it look like this was painted over our JUUL. I'm gonna go a little bit lower again. Let's just go 65. And I'm pretty happy with 65. So our back should be looking something like that. I'm pretty happy with it. All right. Let's go back to our backdrop and go backdrop matte. Hit Control A. I'm just gonna set this one to active again to have a look at it. I'm gonna go back into our object mode and I'm going to collapse the window so I got it maximized once again. I'm gonna go Shift A, empty, cube. I'm gonna call this a JUUL mesh body parent. I'm gonna grab everything in this general vicinity. It's gonna select more than I want, so I'm just gonna deselect the lights and the backdrop, this back camera, and I'm gonna deselect this cube and then reselect it to make sure that it's the final thing that I have in my selection. I'm gonna hit Control P, object to keep transform, and then now this cube should control my entire mesh, and I should still be able to come to bools and disable that if I want. We're also going to want to make sure that we disable the render button on our bools collection. If not, when we hit the render button, we're going to see all these Boolean objects that we've created, and we don't want that. And I believe we're close to finishing. And on the demo pics I showed you guys, I had more than one JUUL. So if I click on this parent and I hit Shift, right bracket, that should select all my children. So now if I hit Shift D, that should duplicate all of that for us, and this parent will still control all of its children objects. So let me move that into position. Let's go to my camera view to see what this is looking like. So a little bit behind like that. Let's go into rendered view, see what that looks like. Maybe that's something looking a little epic like that. I'm gonna do the same thing, shift right bracket, shift D to duplicate. I'm just gonna move that, go to my camera view. I'm just gonna line this up with my eyes. Although, don't do everything I do. I recommend you don't use your eyes for everything. Try to be as precise as possible, but to me, that looks close enough. This front one is looking darker, like we almost used a black material, and the other ones are looking like we used a gray material. That's pretty cool. We didn't have to change any mats. It's just all the lighting. And from there, I think we are pretty much ready to render and go with this. I'm liking the outcome. We could create some additional cameras to get the side details. We could do the same thing, lay this on its belly and get a picture of the back. Yeah, experiment with it. Definitely create the top pieces based off what you've learned in part 1 and part 2. And from here, let's do a quick render. So I'll be back in a moment when this is all rendered out. Hey guys, just a quick note that I've noticed. It looks like we have some sort of artifacting here. Let's go back to our camera and see if we can fix it. It looks like we have artifacting, but I think that's actually reflections from our light. So I might just play with the position of this to try and fix that up because I don't really like it. I'm just gonna move our lights back a little bit like that. It's gonna darken everything a little bit more and make it a little bit moodier, but I do like that I can't really see those strange reflections. And then now I'm gonna hit render once again. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, welcome back. I took 2 renders while I was gone. Let me just collapse this. If I go Shift F10, go to my render results, I got the back render in slot 2 and I got the front render in slot 1. All right, once you got a couple renders that you're happy with, let's go ahead and do some compositing. Let's go Shift F3, go use nodes, and we should be in our compositor now. If I hit backdrop, go N, go to view, and I go Control T on this to bring in our viewer, then I should be able to see it in the background while I work on it. I'll play with the zoom. Should give me something like this. All right. So let's see what we can do with this. Honestly, I don't want to do too much, so I might just, first things first, hit it with a color balance. Just gonna get rid of the compositor for now. And what I'm gonna do is let's darken the, so it pretty much goes lift, gamma, gain, which is shadow, midtone, light tone. It's kind of the best way to think about it. So I'm just dragging this down ever so slightly to just darken it up a little bit. It's my mid-ground. I want to kind of give it like a green matrixy vibe, just very slightly. Everything here should be done slightly. It's really easy to overdo it, so don't go too crazy. And then let's just lighten the values a little bit, slightest bit. And also in our lift, let's give it a little bit of blue. Something like that. Very, very subtle values. My hex codes are as such for lift. And gamma is pretty much the same. It's almost like nothing even really moved here. Let's move it in a little bit. FC, FFFE, and this is gain. It's all pretty much the same. And we just have 1.008 for the value there. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. All right, let's go with filter. Let's bring in a filter. Not soften. Let's go with Pruitt. And we want this very slight maybe at like 0.1. Just makes it pop a little bit more. And then let's go with a glare. And I'm gonna go with simple star. Bring down the iterations. Let's actually go with streaks. Let's not do simple star. And let's bring down the, not the threshold, I'm gonna bring down the mix to make it very slight. Let's check 0.9. It's actually looking a little cheese, so maybe let's do 4. A negative 0.95. There we go. It's very slight. So if I hook that up to our compositor, if I shift D, bring this over, and just move this to the side so we can see it a little bit better. So if I shift click between these two, we'll see the difference. And control shift click. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. And we could do the same for actually, we don't need to do the same. It should already be applied. So if I go to F10, this is the new output of our final render, and it should be the same for slot 2. So let's go, it's combined, view layer. There we go, now it's done it. I'm just gonna split this and check again, composite, composite. Yeah, now it's working. I think I was just in the wrong view type here. So yeah, those should both be applied, and you can save those out to anywhere you want. And that's it, we are done. This has been more of a modeling beginner, intermediary level thing, more so than a material and compositing thing. Yeah, use these techniques however you want. It's definitely helped me a lot in getting a handle on making things a lot quicker. It's really nice to have that modular ability with this type of workflow. And wish you guys the best. Happy blending, and I'll see you guys next time.